Omraam Mikhaël Aïvanhov. October 5, 2019. Well, dear friends, it is with great pleasure that I am with you today, and in a somewhat unexpected way I would say. But as you know, it is always with great joy that I come to share with you. Let me first of all bring you all my blessings and agape. And we will, if you don't mind, see what you have to ask me in this country. So I'm listening, my dear friend. Sister/interpreter. Why we cannot remain indifferent to what some of our brothers are doing, and we act in the belief that we are waking them up. So dear friend, I believe that for many months now, all of us, and ever, we have been telling you to embrace. I repeat that you cannot convince anyone, with words or speeches. Only your presence, your positioning of who you are, really makes it possible to embrace and cross. But as you know today, many brothers and sisters from all over the world have woken up in this period for just over a year. I fully understand that when you meet other brothers and sisters in your family or elsewhere, you may feel frustrated or disappointed that you cannot open or awaken, even intellectually, many brothers and sisters who are still sleeping. You can't do anything by your words for these brothers and sisters who are still sleeping. Remember that they are in denial, they do not want to see, for any reason. But today more than ever, if you believe simply by words, or even by real events, that you expose, that you speak, you will never open anyone. But as I said before, you risk making them angry, and I would even say, in opposition and confrontation. Don't ask yourself that kind of question. You will be much more effective by embracing this sleeping brother or sister, by your presence, but less and less by speeches or fears. This is the essential characteristic of the destiny of humanity, what has been called denial, and if you approach these brothers and sisters who are in denial, with all the possible evidence, with even speeches of love, you will make them angry. The best posture of your being is simply to embrace and accept. If you do that, in front of anyone, you have much more chances, much more possibilities, to see the opening take place. But no speeches, today, no proof even of the events that are happening on earth, you see them from all over this earth, they will attack you. I said that a long time ago. It is only your presence, your embrace, your real acceptance, which have the most possibilities, without wanting anything, without deciding anything, to let them open up. But if you believe that before the current event, you will not be able to open anyone. Many brothers and sisters have opened up, you can also see it everywhere around you, and since the previous year. But once again, embrace, be humble, without any desire to change anything, and then you will see the miracle of the intelligence of light, of whatever called the Christic matrix I believe, which has replaced the binary, dual matrix. You do not need words, you do not need proof, because the only proof is you, in your positioning, in your humanity, in your presence and your love. Everything else will come back to you in your face, because it is an ego will to want this or that. It is not at all a proof of love, it is that somewhere inside you is hidden the need to persuade, to make people adhere. But for those who are not open today, there is nothing worse than to act like that. I remind you, I did told you, what must happen will happen, you can do nothing, if not accept. And if you're in this acceptance, you're in this love called agape. But no word will lead you to agape. It is necessary to leave freedom to the intelligence of light, to propose freedom. But you have your character, you won't be able to do anything, and I would even say, less and less, and I told you, it will come back to you in the face. At that moment, you will understand that you must let the intelligence of the light be, and especially that you have nothing to do. It is the best posture, I would say the best presentation you have to show in all relationships, whether in the street, in the family, at work, but you have no possibility of persuading, converting, neither by your words, nor even by spreading the real evidence of what is happening, already for many months on earth, you understand. And the more you accept this principle of functioning, the lighter you will feel, and the more you will awaken in the other, through the presence, yours, the ability for the other to resonate with the truth. You will even notice, I would say, in the days, weeks and months that are unfolding, that the more the real, physical signs that accompany the event will unfortunately trigger more fear, more denial and even anger in these sleeping brothers and sisters. So be content to be yourself. You have no one to convince. You have to be present, loving, embracing, and, above all, present. And that's enough. Everything else is done without you. If you think you're going to be able to put a brother or sister on a wake or in a gape, through speeches, it will be a failure every time. And moreover, you are moving away from joy, peace and the present instant. As I said countless times, years ago, but now, compared to what is happening, I was saying then, take care of your butt. Today I would say to you, take care of your heart, really, let it be what it is. This is how the intelligence of light works. And if you put your will, whatever it is, you nourish duality again, in you and in the other, that is not the goal. Be humble, be true, impose nothing, propose nothing, but embrace. This is the only way to let the light work, that I remind you that you are you, but that at no time can personal elements, speeches or even evidence, have any effectiveness, quite the contrary. If you accept this, if you adopt this behavior, you'll see many brothers and sisters come to you, not to discuss, but to live this resonance and this openness. In some areas where you work or life, you have nothing else to do but to be there. Everything else is agitation, and recreating distance from the truth is simple. Every day you have the opportunity to verify what I tell you. Everything else, and it's not pictorial, will come back to you, more and more violently. You have countless brothers and sisters, who live agape, and who see very well the moment when they let the characters, the person, the story, come back, if I can say so, to the forefront, and at that moment, agape moves away. You have the opportunity to verify it in all the circumstances of your lives. As was said many years ago by Enel, by me, by others, the more you let go, the more things happen. Everything else is just a matter of ego, history, it has nothing to do with agape. And it is the same for each of you individually on this earth. No matter what your life gives you to live, you have the opportunity to check if you are your life or if you are life, and to notice on each occasion the presence of naked joy, or its distance. You understand that? So I'll let you continue with another question. Sister. In Spanish, and after a long silence. One of them rode like a pit, right? Sister. Then I will translate you. I listened to the song and mantra of M, or M, keeping us locked in, but for me, when I listen to it, I feel vital. Are you feeling alright? Sister. May she feel vital when she listens to the mantras of M, M? How does she feel? Sister. Vital. What? Sister. Vital. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Sister. Well, with energy. Oh yes, but OM is vital energy, it is the energy at creation. But the creation, sister. May I continue? No, you feed the vital energy. The M nourishes the energies of the second chakra, as Buddhists tell you, and the second chakra is vitality, but the vital fire is not the vibrational fire. Vitality corresponds to the body of flesh, the etheric body, but it has nothing to do with truth. It's up to you to know if you want to be in well-being, or if you want to be in joy. It has nothing to do with it. Naked joy, agape, has nothing to do with vital energy and has nothing to do with well-being. The M is indeed the song of creation. I would like to point out that my name is Omraam, but the M has never liberated anyone, nor awakened anyone, and you say it yourself, you feel good, it gives you vitality, but are you in this naked joy, agape? That's impossible. For the one who lives agape, if he pronounces the M, he will very quickly notice that agape is leaving, because M is linked to the incarnation, to creation, but absolutely not to the truth. It is up to you to decide whether you prefer well-being, vitality, or truth. It's unstoppable. You cannot develop the vital energy and allow the igneous fire to take hold. It's one or the other. It has been explained countless times. The igneous fire and the vital fire consumes the vital body, and already consumes, for some, the physical body. What do you want, to be in shape only, or to live the truth? Nothing to do with it. Truth has no use for illusion, vital energy or the which, in addition, clings you, if you will, to the past, history and confinement, to which, I remind you, all religions and philosophies have nourished and maintained. It's up to you. And you have the opportunity to check this every minute, it's up to you. The proof is immediate. Nourish the vital energy and you will see that there will be less and less joy, more and more areas of friction, in your physical body, and in your life. While the one who is agape lets life unfold in its entirety. In one case, even if vitality increases, as you say, you have to make efforts by listening, by singing the but all this belongs to illusion and you all have the possibility to feel, to live, if you're honest, what makes you happy and what puts you in sadness or difficulty. In agape, I repeat, in joy, everything is easy, everything is made easier, but if you maintain the history today of the behavior of religions and philosophies, you can only notice that you will be more and more ill. I told you that too, and you see it immediately. This is how the intelligence of light, the igneous fire, naturally leads you to who you are. But if your character, your story, takes on too much importance, you will be more and more ill, you will not be in joy, you will be in the mind, questioning, and you will not be available for agape. I repeat, each of you today has the opportunity to verify this in every circumstance of your life. It is fluid, it is light, it is joyful, there is fire in the heart, or then it is the body that will speak. You will be in pain, you will witness your mind turning on its own, and by dint of suffering, you will eventually let go. As I said, not long ago, in a country next door, that too, whether it is fluid or not. But it only depends on your positioning. You agree to let go, you stop believing in a master, a savior, your story, because the intelligence of light only asks you that. Are you available, or are you still too much in your stories, in beliefs and in things, I would say, that are outdated, that no longer have any reason to be? All the events of your life led you to live this. One more question. Sister, how can one live between acceptance and detachment? That's when I didn't understand. The difference between. Sister, how can one live between acceptance and detachment? The detachment, I get it, but the work before that. Sister, acceptance. OMA includes attestation several times. Laughs. I don't understand what that means in French. Attestation of what? Sister, no, to accept. Accept something. Acceptance. So the difference between acceptance and what? Sister, and the detachment. But that has nothing to do with it. Detachment is an effort, acceptance is a relaxation. It is exactly the opposite. It is like years ago, when there were discussions between abandonment to the light and free will. Detachment is an effort, acceptance is a relaxation. Detachment is your decision, and if you are the one in front, love cannot be. Acceptance makes you available, it is a relaxation, it is, like saying, a surrender, it is completely different. Acceptance is accepting what is, accepting everything that is. Detachment is an effort, the will to detach, but that is a posture of the person. While acceptance is the disappearance of the person. That has nothing to do with it. The results are not at all the same. I say this to you and I say it clearly again, if it seems to you to make an effort, if it seems difficult, if things are not fluid, it is because you have put your person, your history, your beliefs at the forefront, and certainly not in agape. It is not for nothing that agape is a sacrifice of the person, which is immediately followed by joy. Until you understand, until you experience this, you can only suffer. There is no other way. It has been said and repeated in length, breadth and in depth. Acceptance, if you will, is a disappearance to and from yourself. The one who is agape cannot have claims, he is totally present in the acceptance, he does not ask himself the question of detachment or an effort to make to live the truth. He is the truth, he is even the way, the truth and the life. The Christic state has nothing to do with personal development or any understanding of that person. It is exactly the opposite. As long as you have not experienced it yourself, and by yourself, in any circumstances of your lives, especially now, you can only feed suffering, you are not available for agape, for the truth. One more question. I like the questions, they're quick there, they're short. But talk into the microphone, because I think he doesn't have the devices anymore, and you have to talk loudly. In the microphone. Sister. Spanish. So that was Spanish, wasn't it? So now, in French, and on the microphone. Laughs. We were hearing a good microphone earlier. Sister. Sometimes. There he is, there he is. Sister. Sometimes I am energetically well, are you? Sister. Energetically well, joyful, at peace, and suddenly I feel empty energetically, and I have to go to bed, in silence. I close my eyes and the body starts to recover. I feel invaded by a void, I flood myself in the void. What is your opinion of this situation? So, actually, it's good, and suddenly it's not good. And it must go to bed to be well again. It means you're resisting. This is the typical case where there is no acceptance, there is resistance, and it is the game or the intelligence of light that makes you live this. The one who lives agape is full, and precisely what you say, feeling empty, is a resistance to agape. As I said, everything you are living today, in all the events of your life, is intended to make you live agape. You don't have to understand anything. You just have to accept that, too. That's all. That's all. Accept the void, accept this fatigue, and as Eber would say, you will cross it, but if you struggle, if you want to understand, you place yourself in contradiction, in confrontation with the intelligence of the light. In some of the questions that are asked, I still have the impression that you have not really fully understood what it is like to accept, to embrace what is there. Everything is only a pretext to make you discover the truth that you are. And as has been said, there are no prerequisites, there are no preconditions if you prefer, there is only one: to embrace and accept. These are not words and concepts, they are a positioning of consciousness. To embrace everything with the same quality, and joy is just behind. But if you put anything in front of this embrace, and for everyone, for those who have a spiritual question, you will be more and more ill. It has been said, explained long before this very summer, love or suffering, and you will have exactly the same possibility and equality in front of it. So think carefully, in all areas of your life, have you accepted, have you embraced, before else, even if it will be necessary to act afterwards, but I would say that, as long as you have not put acceptance before, and embrace of what is, even through a serious illness, you cannot live agape. This does not mean either that the disease should be neglected, but acceptance and embrace should be in front of it. As Eber told you, accept absolutely everything that is, even and especially if it bothers you, and just behind it is joy. But until you've tried it, and if you tell me you're not living it, it just means you haven't accepted it. You put, yes, but, in front, but you didn't say yes. That's what the intelligence of the light is asking you for. But I repeat, not in your meditations or vibrations, but in all the circumstances of your life. Otherwise, you are not life, and everything that is not life is suffering. You may see it around you, in your families, and among the brothers and sisters who are informed of agape, and who cannot accept everything. Suffering is there, it is not in sickness or in the lack of anything, emotional or money, or anything else. It is only in your posture and in your everyday behavior. It is humility itself, simplicity itself. A laughed for a while in the room, who also grabbed the sister/interpreter. Sister, I apologize. And? Is it getting hot? Yes. Or is it laughing? It's laughing. It laughs and gets hot then. But you all have, I repeat, the opportunity to check it every minute, and it is instantaneous. Whatever happens, what is your posture, the reaction, the need to understand, or the acceptance? You have no other choice. So of course, you will tell me, but those who do not ask themselves questions, who do not believe in anything, who do not live anything, and who do not see anything of what is happening in the world, are for the moment, I would say, much quieter than those who have perceptions, who live energies, who live visions, experiences, who are torturing themselves, who are suffering, because they are simply in non-acceptance of what is. Again, everything that is happening to you right now, at whatever level, is there for that reason alone. Everything else you can think of, believe, is useless. That is the true acceptance. One more question. Sister, you'll excuse me, Grandpa, but in the room they make me laugh. So he tells me to translate. In the room, they laugh, so they make me laugh, and I can't translate while laughing. Laughs. Sister, if they don't stop making me laugh, I can't translate. That's joy. Without object, and without reason. Sister, what types of discomforts and illnesses can we have? Everything. You may die, you may have a devastating disease. Laughs. And you have many brothers and sisters right now who are, however, connected, awake, who are physically confronted with terrible things, heart attacks, vascular accidents, terrible infectious diseases, because whatever they are going through, even agape, there is still some reluctance, some resistance, and that is precisely what will enlighten them, because if you were put in a bed, if you can no longer carry out your little habits, if you are stopped in your life by an illness of any kind, an event even if it is not an illness, something that will stop you clean, then at that moment you are available. You cannot understand it, but on the other hand you can live it, and if you accept it, first of all, well you live it, you're agape. It has been said, I repeat, for the intelligence of the light, everything is a pretext in your life to make you live the truth, but you cannot live the absolute truth if there remains the slightest desire to live it. And I am not even talking about ego here, but about the desire, even legitimate I would say, to live agape. As long as the desire is there, you cannot live it, because if there is desire, there is no acceptance, there is no disappearance, and there is no sacrifice. I repeat forcefully, absolutely everything that happens to you has the same purpose. And why do you take breaks like me? That's weird, that's weird. Laughs. Come on, let's keep going. Sister, they make me laugh, our sisters, they are in agape, they make me laugh. They keep laughing in the room. Well, that's from a sister who's not present, that's a question from a sister who's not present. Yes, I heard that. Sister, in Spanish. Laughs. The question seems to make people laugh. Sister, yes. I have a lot of pressure in my head and palpitations in my chest. I have intestinal problems, feelings of being, the feeling that wings are growing in my back, and I also feel dizzy. That's good. That's good. Sister, what can I do in front of all these states? But there's nothing to do, you're almost dead, let yourself die. Laughs. The death of the person, of the ego, of history. On the contrary, as I said, you have many brothers and sisters right now who have heart rhythm disorders, stroke, back problems, up and down. You don't have to do anything. Take one painkiller tablet. Go to a doctor if you want, but inside you, you have to place yourself in the embrace, in the acceptance. We repeat it to you with each intervention dozens of times, and many do not understand. That makes sense. You still operate according to the dual principle. This happens, I have to find the solutions, I have to question, I have to understand, and at that moment, you are no longer available, you are no longer in the embrace, you're in the reaction. And when you get tired of reacting, when you get tired of being in agony, then you will let go and accept. It was explained I think by the chief head a short time ago, by neuroscience and, what he called it, resilience. It is at the moment when you fall to the lowest that you can only go up. It is life, everything that happens, will always offer you these two choices. the path of ease that is evident, or the path of the person, which is suffering and resistance? Think carefully about what I just said. When we have been talking to you for months, for years, about evidence, freedom, autonomy, it has nothing to do with the person's desire or the person's history. It's the sacrifice. Have you given yourself totally to life, or do you still believe you're this more or less sinister character, who suffers, who wanders, and who can fall and die, or are you really what was never born and never died? Remember, this is a theater scene. Are you the actor, are you the spectator or the observer, or did you see that all this never existed? Life shows you right now, enlighten if you prefer, everything that needs to be enlightened. But you will never get to a gate by a personal effort of any kind. It is a sacrifice, it is an unconditional surrender. There is no better word than to accept what is. That's how you are free, and not by fighting, and not by believing that you will be free on your own. Freedom is without you, you're the main obstacle as a person to the truth that you are. Everything else is just strategies, speeches, resistance, as I said, and more suffering. And you see very well around you the difference between a brother or sister who is agape, or a brother or sister who is still in history, in character, in suffering. You have no other choice. In fact, you never had a choice. Either you're really who you are and you discover it through humility, simplicity, don't put any belief in it, don't put any questions, and you are free instantly. And when I say that we keep repeating it to you, you have heard it dozens of times, if not hundreds or thousands of times. And if you are still asking yourself this question, it may be time to embrace what has always been there, as all those who remember and wake up in, as Egba or Baidu would say, in their eternal or absolute I. Accepting is not a concept, it is really being in the present instant. The true instant in the present does not care about your story, your memories or your projections in tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Are you available for the instant? And agape is there. It's the same for everyone. As I said, there are no preconditions, it depends on you. You're in front, that is, you ask, you project, or you are present. In other words, are you out where you are in? You are still playing at being the actor on the theater stage, or you saw that he was an actor, that is to say that somewhere, consciously or unconsciously, it is not an ego problem, it is something you have not seen and that you have not lived. The embrace is agape. Acceptance is freedom. Everything else is just gossip and stories, which are useless except to make you suffer. Keep your mind and your action for a second time, but first embrace. And don't ask me how to do it, there is no technique, it's a positioning of your consciousness, a positioning of your character, and all those who live it or who discover it now, can only tell you that it has always been there, but that we were so much in the actor's distraction, that you had forgotten. The only way to remember is humility and simplicity every minute, and that's what makes you feel embraced. Everything else is just reflexes, totally outdated strategies. You already have today, already for many months, the immediate possibility of being agape. That's what you really are. Nor is it a question of considering any guilt or error through what I am telling you. This is exactly what you are living through, which was written by you, to wake you up. Accept it, you will live it, and then you will understand it. And Baidu I think said, understanding is lived. But as long as you believe that intellectual understanding, I'm not even talking about mental, will make you live this, you're just moving away from it yourself. Truth can only be lived, it cannot be understood, it is the character who wants to understand, who wants to seize, to appropriate himself. However, life will never be an appropriation, but rather a restitution. Everything else, even if it may be useful, for the person's health, to solve daily problems, is of no use to you to live the truth. Quite the contrary. I'm not asking you to believe me, as Egba or Baidu would say. It is up to you to demonstrate this to yourself. There is no other proof than to live it. Truth can only be lived. You can say anything you want about it, but it will never make you live it. Understand that every day, every week, with what is happening everywhere on this earth, in this solar system, in all galaxies and dimensions, is exactly the same process. Truth frees you, it sets you free, it makes you free, it is a gape, but it has nothing to do with this world, with no rule and no law of this world, and even less with spiritual laws. That's all over. Biden told you, there's no worse scam than spirituality. Even we elders, all of us, were deceived by this. We taught spiritual conduct in different ways, because at the time, there were no other means. Truth does not need spirituality, truth does not need you, truth does not need forms, you're anterior to all forms. There is liberty, naked joy, everything else will only become suffering. And I also repeat, it is not a punishment, it is not a karmic retribution, it is a restitution to who you were before you are a form, whatever form it may be, before you are a story, even that of creation. Accept it and you're free. As long as you feel you have to make an effort, you're wrong about the truth. Keep up your efforts to drive the car, to meet your obligations, if you can still deal with it. For the rest, as I said, I repeat, be available and you will live the evidence instantly. There is no other choice. One more question. Sister, it's the last one I wrote, and it's a novel. You have the volume louder in French than in Spanish. Go on, keep going. Sister, well, let me summarize. Good night, OMA. Thank you for coming with us today. My question is this. During the last weeks of September, I had a series of physical symptoms that gave me very high temperatures, fever, and physical symptoms. There was very hot body all day and feet, and the last 3 days, headaches. And also head beats. So I would like to know if it is due to the general planetary, energetic influence, or if it was part of his individual process. Since all this September, many of you have been living through various mechanisms. I talked about vascular problems, heart problems, back problems, fire, pain, all that. It is both the consummation of illusion that leads to joy and happiness. Of course, if you have a headache, see a therapist, a doctor. But above all, did you sincerely accept what was manifested above all else? I am sure that the answer is no, and this consummation of the ephemeral, of your subtle and physical structures, is a consummation and a blaze of love when you accept, but a suffering if you put something other than acceptance before. You're in projection, you are not in embrace. There is nothing to understand, there is just to embrace, it is not a play on words. As I said, it is not a concept, it is something to be lived, it is the present instant, the zero time, we will not use all the expressions. As I said, it is joy or suffering, it is up to you to see, without guilt, without understanding anything. At some point, when you may be, and for some at the point of death, by a health problem, even a very serious one, then you will accept it, and I assure you that you will laugh at yourself, at your postures, at your beliefs and at your projections. Love laughs at all this, and you too will laugh about it, that's how it is for everyone. For some, it will be, there were a lot of them in September, points, pains, how you say, exquisite, very punctual in the lower back, or then, the head that pulses and heats up like never before, your heart rate that panics, that can go up to twice the normal pulse. It is simply that you have not embraced, you are still somewhere in your history, in your personal I, and not in the eternal I. So of course, even as you live this, more and more of you are also living moments, instants, likeness, disappearance, joy, and when you get tired of going from one state to another, of despair at not understanding anything, then you will accept freedom and truth. That's the game of light right now, you can't help it, no matter what you say. It is the positioning, Biden would say from your point of view, I would simply say the positioning of your consciousness that makes all the difference, between naked joy and suffering. Look at the countless brothers and sisters who live agape around you, or on your modern means of communication. There are countless people, in every possible way, who live this joy, who transcribe it into words, poems and testimonies. Listen, read these testimonies, and you will resonate with them, and you will live the truth. Everything else is suffering, because you have not yet been fully enlightened, and you are the one who is preventing the lighting. There is no one else but you. Everything that Bida has told you since 2012 and in recent years is the strict truth. Everything he could say when he was incarnate finds its full justification today, because that is what you are living, and everything that happens to you is only intended to make you live that. Agape. Are there any oral questions, perhaps? Sister. In Spanish. I think they've been knocked out, and I think it must be noontime right now, because it's getting hot. What time is it? Sister. It is now 11 and a quarter past 11. Yes, it started 10 minutes ago, but now it's starting to go up very high. It's getting hot, isn't it? You know, in head, in heart. Do you have any further questions? As you can see, whether it is me, Bida, Eber, Fame, the choir of angels, Enelwaden, we can only repeat the same thing over and over again, because that's all there is now. We are not going to tell you the story of the earth, the story of the new bodies, the new kilograms, the dimensions, or explain something to you again. We do everything to make you live this acceptance and the freedom that you are, so that you remember that you have always been there, that you were never born, and therefore that you never died. All this concerns the person, the theater scene, the scam, but the intensity of the light is now such that the pressure of the real light is illuminating everything, individually and collectively on all creation, not only on Earth. Your astrophysicists are starting to say it. You have black holes in the solar system, in the center of the Milky Way. You have rays of light, which scientists also call gamma and exotic rays, which literally attack the Earth, your consciousness and humanity in their entirety, every day and without interruption. If you look at the world screen, you can see what's going on. And if you look at what is happening in you, through your questions, you see it well too. Of course, that doesn't exempt you if you have a real stroke, or a myocardial infarction, or a kidney or spinal problem. You have to deal with it, at all levels, but it's precisely because of that you regain your memory before life. Autonomy, freedom, it is there, nowhere else. I repeat, listen, read, feel what the brothers and sisters who live agape are going through. They all tell you the same thing. They are all Bida, they are all Christ, they are all Eber, even if the words are different, it is the same state, and that is what you must resonate with as a priority, and that is how your life becomes life. One more question. A brother asks a question. Sister, I don't know. I hear that agape, and just in the center, at point zero, between eternalism and emptiness. And you're talking about what? Because there's someone else talking too. I hear two people talking. Oh, yes, it's the oral questions, excuse me. Sister. Then he said, repeat. I hear that agape is in the center between eternalism and emptiness. It contains everything and at the same time nothing. That is, we lose everything, we lose wisdom, we lose everything, we lose everything, the personality. And you're talking about what I don't understand right now. Do you translate or rehearse in Spanish? Sister. No, I tell you, I was translating directly. Laughs. Ah, excuse me, I wasn't listening. I thought you were rehearsing for the level, because the others won't hear the question in Spanish. Since it's bilingual, it's better, so go ahead, I'm listening. What's the question? Laughs. The brother comes to ask his question in Spanish at the microphone. Sister. So my question is a little philosophical. And I'm not a philosopher, am I? Sister. The point of the agape is at the center between eternalism and emptiness. What and emptiness? I didn't understand the word. Sister. Emptiness. Between existence and emptiness, if personality, we must also sacrifice personality. I never said that. Never, never, never. The personality must let itself be crossed by the embrace. As you present the question, it proves that you didn't understand anything, because you say you want to delete the personality, it doesn't mean anything. You have to let it go through. That's all. Where's the philosophy in there? Sister, the philosophy part, I have it, we have removed it. Laughs, we just translated that, the other part was philosophical. There's no more microphone. Sister, we have just translated the essentials into fact. He asked that, if we were to let the personality die out. Yes, I would say someone who is in a personality today, who does not ask himself any spiritual questions, who has no perception, no sensation, no vision, no ambition, and who is simply present in his everyday human life, present to himself, even within that personality, has much more possibilities to live the truth, than someone who is in perceptions, visions, experiences. Truth is a consciousness, consciousness is vibration. As long as you're in the vibration, you're in the supraconsciousness, in the self, which is an obstacle today to the truth. I repeat, the one who is most in the present moment, the simplest, is a gapen he lives it. Once again, you have thousands of testimonies from these brothers and sisters who live the truth, while you also have countless brothers and sisters who are in visions, projections, perceptions, who live vibrations, that this is an indispensable step. Today it is an obstacle. What has served you, everything we have delivered to you as teaching, as knowledge, has led you to a certain point. Today, it's a dead weight, and that's what's blocking you. But under no circumstances is the personality to be suppressed, worked on or improved, it just has to accept what is there. Everything else is useless, I would even say that everything else is suffering, without exception. You see it everywhere, if it's not in you, in your family, in society, in countries, that's the way it is. Did I answer his philosophical question? Or maybe he meant something else. Remember that as long as it seems to you to make an effort, of understanding, intellectual, as long as you believe that you must perceive something, you are not available, you will realize it very quickly. That is why for many months now, while for years I have been saying love or fear, you know very well that I am now saying love or suffering. But suffering leads you in the same way to the truth, but precisely, it is perhaps more comfortable for the person not to go through these infarctions, accidents, infections, pains at the lumbar level or on the wings. Whatever happens to you, and whatever you do, you can't help it, that's the challenge. You're the light, everything else is false, absolutely everything. Accept it. Prove it to yourself by acceptance and live it instantly. I have said it before I repeat it. In every country on this planet, you have brothers and sisters who testify. They are not in ashrams, they are not following a guru or a master, they live life, and it is in that life, that simplicity, that they discover what they are. Everything else is just alibis, obstacles, and something that has not yet been sufficiently clarified. Anything else? Oh yes, you have to speak into the microphone, it will save you from repeating in Spanish, so that those who listen in Spanish can listen. And then you translate. Sister, you speak of being in love or being in suffering, and that suffering is also a way to arrive. No, there is no way. As long as you believe there is a way, I am not talking about being in love, you're already in love. And as long as you talk about the path, you haven't lived through the fact that there are neither nor omega. The alpha is the omega, and the omega is the alpha. We have to find the initial time at the zero time. The path is good for the person, for the soul, for the ego, the truth has no use for that. And speaking of paths, you put distance yourself, that's what you have to see. Believing that there is a progression is called personal development, it is called spirituality. You're already perfect, not your person, not your life, but what you are. It is something to remember, it is not a path, it is not an evolution, I repeat, it is an acceptance, but the mind will never hear it. He will always seek to justify himself, in relation to his knowledge, in relation to what he is going through. There is nothing more wrong today. That is totally false. To say that there is a path, a development or a progression is a total lie. The truth doesn't need that. As I say and repeat, it has always been there in the middle of your chest. The creation is you. The enemy, the devil, God, all the consciences of this earth, all the dimensions, are you. Everything is one, and there is no one. So when I hear about a path or evolution, it just proves that there too there has not been a total and frank and true acceptance, but there are still beliefs about a path, a progression, a transformation. It's a total illusion. You can't live live that. You can live moments of joy, moments of warmth of the heart, of opening of the heart, but it has nothing to do with agape. There is no better testimony of agape than those who live it. But to still believe that there is a way, you're rejecting the truth yourself, because when you think of the way, you think that there is something to improve, something to go through. But you have already lived everything, all the worlds, all the dimensions, all the shapes, all the forms, all you see is you. Your mind cannot understand it, but your heart knows it. All the brothers and sisters who live it, can only say the same thing to you, even if it is with other words. Everything else is illusory and depends on the person. The problem is that you are not a person, or you are all people, which is the same, because there is no one there. There's only agape. Everything else is false, because everything else is passing, and what passes cannot be true. Only the eternal I, the absolute I, is true. Nizargidea, Baidu, told you that the absolute eternal I has always been there and will always be there. The creation will have disappeared, the universes will have disappeared, the eternal I will always be there. Everything else is cinema, it's illusion, it's beliefs, it's perceptions, but it's not truth. Brother, thank you. It is indeed very philosophical, but it is the truth. Anything else, or am I going to let you go and burn yourself in your bed? Laughs. Thank you very much, gracious, thank you. Sister, apparently, they want to sleep. Then I will bring you once again all my blessings and I wish you a good fire of love, a consummation of love, and especially be light. The truth is so light, agape, you can only recognize yourself when you live it, there can be no mistake, no questioning about it. When you live it, you know it, because you understand it, but not before. In the end, I only repeated, perhaps with other words or other expressions, everything is present, there is only that. Everything else passes. Your life, day and night, seasons, years, everything that is moving, everything that moves is not true. There is no time or space, and there is just agape. And with that, my dear brothers and sisters, allow me to bless you in agape. Thank you for your questions, your presence and your embrace. And remember, love is something natural, and so simple. If you are wondering about agape, rather than living it, it is because there is still something complicated in you. Again, there is no guilt in conceiving it, or living, there is just to accept, and you are free. That is the present instant, that is what you call zero time, what Enel already called then, hic and nunc, it is always the same thing, except that here, now, it is to be lived in totality. There is no way, there is nothing to improve, that concerns the person, but you are perfect from all eternity, in the eternal I or the absolute I. Then I stop talking and I transmit to you all my love and all my fire of love. Thank you OMA, gracious, thank you. See you soon. See you soon. Through Jean-Luc Young. The Transformations. English translation, LMF.